Okay, some of you might recognize this bike. This is my 27.5 Noli Warden. It's their long travel enduro bike they make, of course with 27.5 inch wheels. I rode this pretty much all of last winter, a bit into the spring, and then I moved on to the Chilcotin, again, full 29. Anyways, that's the whole wheel size debate. Anyways, I'm working on getting a new bike, of course, love new bikes, and I need to make some room, so I've decided to sell this bike. But here's the thing, I haven't sold a bike in a while now, and from what I can tell, the used bike market is pretty strange. So I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do to this bike, and I'm gonna take you along for that journey. What's it like to sell a bike in 2023? Let's find out together. I actually didn't ride this bike that much. I only rode it for a few months, but it was during the winter, so it's a little dirty now. You know, it needs to be cleaned up and lubed. I'm gonna replace a few parts and just take you through the things I'm gonna do to get it ready for sale. Okay, first things first, I'm gonna keep my carbon wheels and put the stock wheels back on. Those wheels also have a XD driver, so I need to put on a GX cassette and GX drivetrain again. I think all the bearings are gonna be fine, but I'm just gonna replace the 4 sets of bushings that are up in here. Although these tires are still in really good condition, I'm gonna toss on new tires because, you know what, pro tip that I got from my friend who sells tons of bikes, people like new tires on bikes. So if you're having trouble selling your used bike, try tossing some brand new tires on there. I'm also going to get rid of this cable monstrosity I've got going on here. I've got this set up so I can do bar spins and tricks and stuff, but I think people generally aren't going to want to do that, so I'm going to put the cables back to being normal. And now we're filming a video. And last thing, I'd like to keep my wireless dropper here, so I'm actually just going to toss on a brand new dropper. But okay, let's get this thing tuned up and ready for sale. Alright, I'm going to switch over to the iPhone right now because I need to use my big camera to take photos of my bike. Hopefully you can see it way back there. One of the things that really does help when selling a used bike is taking a ton of nice photos. I know when I want to buy something used or anything at all really, I just like to look at tons of photos. So yeah, get out there if you're selling a used bike, take as good of photos as you can and take a lot of them. And another tip, if you're selling a used bike and you're not doing it locally, like you're gonna send your bike somewhere else, I would definitely make sure that you take a bunch of photos of the bike, make sure that there's a way to tell when you took the photos, and then document that the person who's buying it has seen the photos, acknowledges all the scratches and that it's used and all that kind of stuff. Because I actually did a video quite a while ago about selling a used bike where I did ship the bike away. The guy changed his mind and tried to use the fact that it had a few scratches to convince PayPal that I told him the bike was new and actually it was used and that he'd never seen any of these photos, but I had emailed him all of these photos and showed PayPal, and obviously they sided with me. So be careful out there selling used bikes. Even people who are legitimate riders and will buy used bikes, yeah, they can do things like that where they change their mind and try and get their money back. Cause you a whole headache. I basically only sell bikes in person now because of it. I can let the person see the bike, make the final decision there, call it a day. But anyways, if you want to hear more about that story, I'll link it somewhere. But okay, let's take some photos of my bike. Okay, photos are all done. Let's go post this thing to Pinkbike. Okay, so I'm in my office right now, trying to avoid doing work, and I'm going to edit these photos and post this bike for sale on Pinkbike. The first thing I actually need to do is see how much the bikes are selling for brand new and how much they're selling for used, and then basically price the bike accordingly. So let's do that right now. Okay, it looks like you can buy a very similar build right now on sale for $3,700 US, which is about 5,000 Canadian, and there's going to be tax on top of that. So let's go over to Pinkbike to my ad. I'm going to toss mine up for $3,750 Canadian. And I think that's a pretty reasonable price, so let's see how that goes.
6.5 hours later.
So I sold the bike way faster than I thought I would. I posted the bike in the afternoon to Pinkbike, and then I also posted it to my Instagram. I got 2 messages on Pinkbike pretty soon in that afternoon, and then I also got a message on Instagram from a friend I met through riding. And he was actually looking for a Warden before. He saw that I was selling my Warden now, and he asked if he could come see it. I said, yeah, come by tonight and check it out. He came over, checked it out, rode it for a while, decided that it was, yeah, a good bike. I also gave him a bit of a deal, so I posted the bike for $3,750, but I sold it to him for $3,400 Canadian, which I think is a great price. Like I said, I haven't really ridden the bike that much. You saw me ride it in videos, and then that was pretty much it. I rode it over the winter, so it's only got a few months of riding on it. I tossed a few new parts on it, and yeah, so I think $3,400 Canadian was a good deal. And now it's hard to say if I sold the bike because I have, you know, a bit of an audience on Instagram and whatnot. But I actually know this person through riding, not through, you know, social media. So there's still a chance that I would have sold the bike regardless, because we would have met through riding and they would still follow me on Instagram and still seeing the bike for sale. But that being said, this isn't the exact outcome I thought was going to happen. I thought it was going to take way longer to sell the bike. So it turns out it wasn't that hard to sell a used bike in 2023. But I think, I don't know if I've just got lucky or if it was sort of the advice I gave you earlier in the video. You know, replace parts, get everything, you know, pretty dialed, and price the bike accordingly. I think that really does, you know, that at the end of the day sells bikes the easiest. When you're looking to buy a new bike, I'm sure there is a price that you would pay. And I think a lot of people are really used to 2020 used prices, you know, the sellers. Because if you go on Pink Bike right now, you can still see used bikes for $7,000, $8,000, $9,000. And if I was going to buy a used bike, that's just not the price range I'd be looking for. If I'm going to spend $9,000 on a bike, I probably have enough money just to go to a shop and buy a brand new one, especially with the crazy deals they have going on now. So I guess my advice still stands. I think if you want to sell your used bike right now, you're going to have to do it for cheaper, like I did. This is one of the cheapest used bikes I've ever sold. I think in 2020, I would have been able to sell it for more. Not a huge problem. That's just the market. That's how it goes. And so, yeah, if you want to sell a used bike, you know, price it accordingly. Look at what they're selling for brand new and then, you know, scale it relative to what condition your bike is in. But let me know in the comments, have you been trying to sell a used bike? Is that trickier, you know, especially in your area? You know, Vancouver is a very popular mountain bike area, so that does help. So yeah, let me know in the comments. Have you been trying to sell a used bike, buy a used bike? How has the used market been for you? Let's talk about it down in the comments. And you know what? I'll see you guys in the next one.